1917 was the year the World War almost ended, and at the same time, became even bigger. In just 12 months, one empire collapsed, another superpower entered the battlefield, and the balance of the war shifted forever. This was not just another year of fighting. This was the year everything changed.
History is not just the past. It is the bridge to who we are today. Join us. Like, subscribe.
By the beginning of 1917, the First World War had already lasted far longer than anyone expected. Millions of soldiers had died in the trenches of Europe, yet neither side had achieved victory. The Western Front was locked in a deadly stalemate. But behind the front lines, something far more dangerous was happening. Germany was running out of time. The British naval blockade had been slowly strangling the German economy. Food shortages were growing. Factories struggled to keep production running. And German leaders knew that if the war continued much longer, their nation might collapse from exhaustion. So they made a desperate decision. Germany announced the return of unrestricted submarine warfare. This meant German submarines would attack any ship heading toward Britain, military or civilian, without warning. The goal was simple: cut Britain off from global supplies and force it to surrender. But this decision carried a massive risk. Many of those ships belonged to neutral countries, especially the United States. For years, the United States had remained officially neutral, supplying goods to both sides while staying out of the conflict. However, repeated German submarine attacks on American ships had already created tension between Washington and Berlin. Then came a message that changed everything. In early 1917, British intelligence intercepted a secret German telegram sent to Mexico. Known today as the Zimmermann telegram, the message proposed a military alliance between Germany and Mexico if the United States entered the war. Germany promised that, after victory, Mexico could recover lost territories such as Texas, New Mexico, and Arizona. When the telegram became public, American opinion shifted almost overnight. What had once been a distant European war suddenly felt like a direct threat. In April 1917, the United States officially declared war on Germany. At first, America did not send millions of soldiers immediately. Training, organization, and transport across the Atlantic would take time. But the psychological impact was enormous. For the first time, the Allied powers knew that fresh troops, fresh industry, and nearly unlimited resources were on the way. Germany understood what this meant. If the war continued into the next year, the arrival of the American army could make victory impossible. Yet, while the United States was entering the war, another great power was leaving it. Russia was collapsing. Years of military defeat, food shortages, economic crisis, and political instability had pushed the Russian Empire to the breaking point. In March 1917, massive protests erupted in the capital, Petrograd. Workers went on strike. Soldiers refused to fire on civilians. Within days, the centuries-old Romanov dynasty fell, and Tsar Nicholas II was forced to abdicate the throne. A provisional government took power and promised democratic reforms. But it made one critical decision. It chose to continue fighting in the war. That decision proved disastrous. The Russian army, already exhausted and poorly supplied, began to fall apart. Discipline collapsed, desertions increased. And across the country, revolutionary movements gained strength. Later that same year, in November 1917, a second revolution brought the Bolsheviks, led by Vladimir Lenin, to power. Unlike the previous government, the new leadership promised something the Russian people desperately wanted: peace. Negotiations began with Germany, and Russia soon prepared to withdraw from the war entirely. This created a dramatic shift in the global balance of power. Germany now saw a rare opportunity. If the Eastern Front disappeared, millions of German soldiers could be transferred to the Western Front for one final massive offensive before American forces arrived in full strength. The stage was now set for the final and most dangerous phase of the First World War, a collapsing empire in the East. A rising superpower entering from the West. and one last desperate gamble that would decide the fate of Europe. 1917 did not end the war, but it decided how the war would end. And in the next episode, we will see how Germany launched its final, all-out attempt to win the conflict before time ran out.
Thank you for watching. If this journey mattered, show your support. Like the video, subscribe to The Bridge, and stay connected.